Hi friends. We're getting back into Golden, NATASHA DENONA's Golden, a 6-look video to help provide some inspiration for the palette. It's not to make you buy it, okay? We've been discussing this palette under my review video, or first impressions rather, under the community post, and listen, you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. Either way is fine. If you have it or were thinking about buying it and your concerns were, well, that's a lot of gold. Are all my looks going to appear similarly? Well, this is my attempt in clarifying, illuminating possibilities of not all looks appearing the same. If you decide to use this beautiful gem here, you know what? She's giving clutch. It's just going out with the golden palette. Here are the shades, and you immediately might think, really? You're gonna, where is the distinction, Alicia? Let's start off by applying a little bit of my Lisa Eldridge skin tint. I think I would have liked to upload this video or that video first. If not, I'm sorry. I like to mix it with the Makeup by Mario bronzing serum, because I do like the neutral undertone of this tint. And I don't know if I should have gotten, because in the video I'm gushing over this tint. I love it in terms of the texture, and it is just right for me in regard to the coverage it provides, but I just needed a little more warmth from it, and that's why I mix in the bronzing serum. I just used a dot, by the way, but I will use another dot, mix it with my NATASHA DENONA Hy-Glam concealer in the shade NP10, and use that mixture to address heavier blemished spots on my skin, but without actually applying another layer of the tint. I found that this technique works well in providing more coverage, but still maintaining the overall lightweight nature of this product, because I think it will be silly to apply more tint when the whole point of this product is to use as little as possible and economize its tinting capabilities, if you will. And then I'll just slap the R5 shade on top of my cocktail and use that under the eyes. And I think this will be my new go-to summer complexion makeup routine, because I adore how this tint feels and looks on my skin. It is extraordinary. It's a lovely product. Face is prepped. The brows are still intact. I filmed a short before this, and sometimes they get wrecked while I'm removing my eye makeup. But for the most part, I think they are all right. And I'm gonna apply Lisa's Balm Embrace in Sweet Fig. Sweet Fig is absolutely perfect. I'll apply more blush products as we get to the eyes, but now that we've arrived at that portion of the video, it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. And also, in other news, I think my poor glam core has met its end. It will not turn on despite me plugging, unplugging, turn on, turn off. It's dead. I might have to get another one. Hopefully the natural light that we are using right now will be enough for this video. Now, people were saying that there is redundancy here when you apply most of these shades. It's hard to make a distinction between different looks that you are attempting to create. For instance, Teak and Sandstone, and even Aria. Teak has, I think, more of a neutral undertone, whereas Sandstone is leaning a little more beigey, and Aria, I think I want to say it is more, right, it's more like a beige peach, right? But I understand where you arrive at the point, I can't even tell if I'm using Teak or Sandstone. This is why I feel we have to hold back how many mattes we combine, and also practice a little bit of discretion with the wet effects and the sparkling foiled, in keeping the beiges with the beiges and the yellow gold with the yellow goldies, you know what I mean? This is the most obvious difference, right? If you just want to go pure bronze, and just stick with Varis and Log, right? And I can do that right now. Actually, I want to use this eye set, Sonyaji's Kakashi Buzomi set, one of the best sets I think released. Did it release in 2024? Oh my goodness. I feel like the years just kind of melt together. And I have to go back and remember when I think, yes, this is a 2024 release, 100%. And one of its best for sure from Sonia. And what I like to do is use the beloved T6 with something like Varis, because Varis is one of Natasha's just beautifully formulated creamy metallics, where the pickup, I mean, you saw that I just barely touched the pan, okay? But we are full throttle ahead in enveloping the entire lid with Varis, and now softly using the tip of the brush just to work the edges around the crease area, creating that blurred effect. I will grab a smaller brush as I want to be a little more precise here under the lash line. Drawing it, pulling it through, and already I just love Varis on its own. You see how subtle it is, but it gives just beautiful, it gives depth for my complexion, yes, but a smokiness that's not too intense. If you wanted this to appear smokier, then you can follow with Log and brush that matte along Varis's edges to increase the gradient effect, but also to introduce that smoke. I would like to take a simpler route and perhaps use, well, we could go several ways. You could use Nubia, Kava, or even Fizzy, or even Aura. Hi there. For your inner corner highlight, you can even tap on Fizzy on the center of Varis to create a spotlight effect. I think Aura, let me do Aura. Aura will be quite interesting on the center, but very lightly. It's going to create more light and contrast without overwhelming the lid entirely if you don't want it to appear flat. I think would be rather beautiful actually to introduce a gold shade to the inner corner. I think that would just be lovely. If you want the inner corner, however, to appear a little more subdued, you can stick with Fizzy. And what I mean by that is taking my flat brush here, still from the Kakechibuzomi set, tapping that on the inner corner and pulling it through the high arc to introduce that beautiful dazzle to the look. But then we could also use Oro. Oro is like the yellow gold from the palette, because I do adore this color. And in order to involve this shade in a way that maybe you don't want it to be placed on the lid or on the larger region of the eye, lower in the corner is the way to go. Great way for like a peak of that gold color, again, without it overtaking the entire eye. What we can do is introduce a little bit of Log here on the lash line. This is not mandatory, but an option if you wanted to create a little more contrast here. And I'm not necessarily taking it beyond my lash point, just stopping right where it ends, again, to add a little bit of intensity on the lash line. Now on the other side, we could go super gold, right? And I will use the same brush that I used to apply Varis, going in with Oro, right? Oro is going to look distinctly different from what we have here, although the vibe is the same, right? The overall gold vibe for sure is the same, but just to have a different color altogether all over the lid. And I'm tapping on my lid and using the edge of the brush, or I should say tip, to dab through my crease and rely on that dab motion to create that soft grading effect. Now Oro through the lower lash line here, sweeping through. This time I would like to take Kava as our lid spotlight moment, because Kava has beautiful twinkle, and just to provide a little more of that dazzle effect on Oro. Yes. What we can do now is use one of the matte shades just for a little bit of finessing through the crease and on the edges of Oro. And in that case, I'm taking Sandstone, as I think it's an appropriate undertone to pair with Oro, right? So you see how it's just bringing a little bit of a smoothness there to the edges of that metallic shade. And for the inner corner, we can now use, well, we could use Kava, because I think, what did we use on this side? I forgot already. I believe we used Fizzy on the inner corner and Aura on the center of Varis. We'll just stick with Kava now for the inner corner. And I'll also use that shade for the lower inner part. Again, Sparkle Arcle. Now this is a great opportunity also if you wanted to use log for a more intense looking lash line, or even tap on log on the outer lid and smoke it out a bit. If that's the route you would like to take, I would think it might be better to have gone in with sandstone first, followed with log, and then oro on the lid, because since we already have the metallic through the crease, it could get a little textured here when layering those different finishes on the eyes. That's just my experience, but I primarily wanted to rely on the metallic to provide that just yellow gold look to the eyes. All right, shadow is done. Let's slap on some blush, lashes, and I'll be right back. Here is round one, and I wanted to kick off this 6 look video using Varis all by itself, just to showcase that if you don't want to hit any of the goals and have it look just as a smoky bronze look, you very much well can. But if you want it to look yellow gold, then you just stick with oro. And for the next round, we'll play with the mattes to see if we can attempt to create some distinction within the palette, and also a distinction from these two looks. So hang tight, let me take these lashes off and I'll be right back. I would like to start off with Aria and then stay in focus, and then use Teak for a little bit of smoke. Then next eye sandstone with log. How does that sound? Aria to kick off eye number 1 for round number 2. Whisking through, and you could probably tell that Aria is one of the more neutral leaning mattes from Golden. On me anyway, right? It's not gonna have that yellowish type of lean that sandstone does. And then with Teak, I'll tap on the outer portion, and you can see that maybe hard to tell between the two, and this is a problem I ran into when I was using the original gold years ago. I wasn't strategic with how I combined the shades, but I like to combine Aria and Teak to create a little bit of haze without having to rely on log. Right, that's the point of this combination. Because sure, if you were to combine Teak and sandstone, there's not going to be much distinction there. Actually, I want to take Pana. Pana is a shade that if I were to redo Golden, I would take out Pana and put in Lime Chrome. Because even though we don't have the teals, I was predicting before I, tried Golden for the first time, that Natasha would at least sneak in a duochrome moment with the teal flip, but we didn't get that. It's fine. Miko for a little bit of a brow matte highlight moment. Okay, now we could go in with, well actually I want to go in with Aurum. Aurum's this guy here. It could be Aurum or Alchemist. Aurum will appear more yellow-ish, whereas Alchemist, I think, oh actually no, my apologies. Alchemist is giving more yellow. Aurum is giving more of that antique gold. Okay, let's do Aurum. I like Aurum with its more subdued undertone, and what I think will pair beautifully with the matte combo we got going on this side. Tappity tap here, making sure I envelop the entire lid. Yes. And I like that Teak provided a little smoke for us. Not so much where it looks too glammed out, but I think Aria and Teak are an appropriate combination if you wanted to create a daily friendly type of a smoke gradient on the eyes for show. And now for the inner corner, let's go Aura. Aura is not as shiny and twinkly as Kava and Fizzy, but I do like its ivory kind of look where when you apply it, whether it be inner corner or on the actual lid, layered on top of another shade. And I want to bring it high through the inner arc here. Yes, so go, ooh. And if you like, you can take a little bit of Fizzy and tap that on Aurum to create more reflectivity on the center of the lid. Sorry, I have leftover glue bits from round number 1. Okay, off to sandstone we go, using this to set up eye number 2. And I think you can immediately detect how sandstone almost is not like Dijon. Dijon looks distinctly more mustard, and if you're wondering what that shade is, Dijon is one of the mattes found in the original gold palette, and it did have a heavier leaning yellow tinge to it, but surprisingly, compared to both Teak and Aria, while Teak and Aria are leaning more neutral, Sandstone now is responsible for that more yellow leaning hue of things. And with Log, carefully introducing this shade as our smoke moment, because Log gets smoky rather quickly, and I want to control its intensity and still have that gradient where you can detect Sandstone but see Log on the majority of the lid. I don't want Log to overtake Sandstone too much, because I think having that gradient from Log into the Sandstone color is just one of the lovely benefits of using golden. Getting a little hazier here with Sandstone on purpose because I just love this shade, but also wanting to bring some Log here on the outer quarter to create that bracket. I feel it appears more comprehensive, especially on the very outer edge, just wisping it carefully to not overwhelm that part of the eye with smoke. Ooh, that's pretty. What shall we do? Okay, see, this is where I think using Fizzy on its own is going to appear not as golden, right? Because you most certainly can use Fizzy since it's more translucent. It's a topper moment instead of using Nubia. Nubia is going to introduce more of like that gold backdrop to the twinkle. So with that said, with the finger, I'm lightly tapping Fizzy just on the lid. Okay, we're not doing anything crazy. It has great adherence, right? But if you wanted to get more precise on the inner arc, you can grab a flat brush here and just use the edge of the brush to kind of arc in and up through that arc, bringing a little more Log, tapping on the border so that juncture doesn't look abrupt but smooth on the transition. For the inner corner, let's try Mliko. Mliko is a cream to powder, but I would like to just have it, yes, just have it as the backdrop, because then I'll go in with Aura, which is the ivory, and rely on Mliko to create more of a highlight effect, right? So now it appears lighter with that backdrop shade than it does on this side. This side, you can just detect the shine and a little bit of that ivory flip. This side, it's coming more forward with that ivory base, which is something I like to do. So that's the combination I rely on if I wanted Aura to appear brighter on the inner corner. For lower inner corner, I think let's do Alchemist. Alchemist, I thought was going to appear more bronzy, but in fact, it has more of a yellow gold undertone to it. And what I'll place here on the lower inner corner, that definitely warms it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And I'm going back on this side briefly just to tap some Aurum around. Yes, yes, yes. All right, round 2 is done. Let's slap on some lashes and I'll be right back. Round 2 complete, and I adore these looks. Perhaps we can consider this round to be the smoky one, giving daily friendly smoke, subdued, not too much, but then on the other side, leaning heavier on the glam. Basically, this is an evening eye for sure, I would consider it to be. And if you wanted, could hop into Xenon, the mini Xenon, because that's where the original black matte is. Or if you have My Dream, you can hop into Extreme Black and tap more on the outer corner to create even more smoke. And a reminder, if you are like myself and have all of NATASHA DENONA's palettes, especially her midi ones, these are magnetic pans. You can swap as you like, and grab other colors, especially if you want it more depth from Golden. If you wanted another duochrome, right? I'm thinking Plantasia from Yucca would be an extraordinary pairing with the golds in here. And again, just to remind you, not to say that you have to buy Yucca now if you don't have it, but if you have something similar, pair it together, you know, elevate Golden in your own way. This is if you have it already. If you have it already, if you're waiting for it to go on sale, it's definitely going to go on sale. But for me, this is Golden is what I Need a Nude is for my complexion in the best way. I Need a Nude is beautiful, but it could lean a little frosty on me depending on the shades, because some of those mattes are on the taupier neutral side, like the cooler neutral side, I should say. And I do like the sandier tones from Golden, just my preference, especially with what I have going on. The cheeks with Suku's Cream Touch Blush, you know, and you have to see the wet effect and sparkling foiled in person under a hard light. The dazzling twinkle effect is amazing. It's just crazy. It's like I have jewels on my lids. Okay, now that we're off to the third round, let's figure out how we can create even more of a distinction. We shall see. Hang tight. Let me take these off and I'll be right back. Round 3, I'm thinking Aura all over the lid with Log as a wing liner, because that I think will be one of the more distinct routes to go. It's not going to appear so yellow gold as it will if you used Oro, if you used Alchemist, or even Nudie Gold, right? If you went Fizzy or Kava. And with that, well, hold on. Let me apply a matte first. And that will be Flesh. Flesh on me is like my flesh. It doesn't have distinct coloring, although a little, because I use some of NATASHA Denona's concealer in R5 as my base, it provides a lighter backdrop, which allows Flesh to appear more peachy. So if you are my skin tone and want to see Flesh do something on your lids, then use an eye primer that's going to blank out your lid a little bit and lighten it a little bit, so Flesh can look like it's doing something on your skin tone. And I'm pulling it through lower lash line, and that's where we'll take Aura, and I'm using my finger on purpose as I want to cover my entire lid. Tappity tap, and you can see that there is a gold flip, but the base is that ivory. Yeah, it's beautiful. And now with a shader, Aura again, but just cleaning up the edges here. Yeah, You know what I want to do? I want to bring, like, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to save that for the other eye. Save it for the other eye. This is where we'll take Log, and I'll use my beloved smudger. This is specifically T1. Sonia smudgers are just remarkable. The way the brush is constructed makes it virtually effortless to plop on an eyeliner wing, especially if you're not particularly good at this. And I'm not either. This is why I adore Sonia smudgers, because the brush is wide, not too stiff, but not too floppy either. It has the right amount of give, so it successfully glides along your lash line without taking skin with it, right? So it's not, that was my fault. That was my fault. Trying to wick away what I did. I might have to use a Q-tip here. That was my fault. My hand was not handing, but it's okay. There we go. We're back on track. We're back on track. As I was saying, it allows me to create this soft line, right? That looks pretty straight, but this is where I screw up. I have to get the angle right for the wing base, because I've been taking it too low, I felt, and that's why I never liked how, like, the final product, how it appeared. The wing, the angle of the wing just was not doing it for me. So I'm trying to be careful here. I also can do what I did over the weekend, because I screwed up my wing for sure, and I used concealer to clean up the base and I placed a gold shadow right under. So it was a nice touch, right, to not only use the gold color, lid, inner corner, lower inner corner, but to introduce that shade on another portion of the eye. And that, you know what, that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. Taking NP10, I think R5 will be a little too light. Stiffer brush for this. So I'm using my, I think this is a Hokuto Weasel brush. Taking my NP10 concealer and now cutting right underneath log in order to shape it better. This will allow me to create a sharper wing, and going back and smoothing out this gap. This, like that arc, you know what I'm talking about, the dip. I'm trying to even out the dip. That's what always gets me. There we go. Is it going? Are we getting there? It's good enough. Now here's the fun part, Now that we have concealer underneath, still fixing, hold on. This is where we can take Aurum. I think this is so pretty. Aurum with the same brush and cutting under the wing. So now you have another opportunity to introduce gold, but in a, what's the word? Unorthodox way. It could be under your wing, and that's a little bit of a spotlight effect. You could also follow up with Kava and just tap on top if you wanted that to have more twinkle. You see what I mean? And now for the inner corner, we could use Fizzy. And I realized that we haven't used Nubia yet all over the lid. So hold tight. We'll definitely get to Nubia, because Nubia is one of just my most favorite shades out of the entire palette. And for that, since round 2, we combined log with sandstone, now we combine Teak with log. That's going to set up, for my skin tone, one of the smokiest moments of the palette. And what I mean by that is, because Teak already is giving medium smoke on me. You can see already, not only from this demo, but from the second one, how that was our daily smoky matte of choice. And since we're setting up with this tone, okay, once we bring in log, forget it. It's gonna smoke up real fast. And I would like to do the halo eye. We gotta do the halo eye with Nubia on the center. Listen, you ready? Let's go. Taking log and tapping first on the outer V. I'm being careful here because, as I explained before, log packs a punch, and I much rather build it slowly than have to blend away, because once you start blending away something like log, it will appear muddy and uneven. It becomes a mess, okay? That's why it's important that you just take your time, especially on the inner portion of the eye. And why I adore this brush in particular, the T3 from the Kakeshi Buzomi set. It's round but pointed, has enough body to the brush for that pickup, but still beautifully flexible through the tip, where not only you can plop down color, but you can blend it successfully as well. And that's why I'm bringing it. You see what's happening? The glam is glamming. And I would like to take log now on the lower quarter. I'm not going to take log on the lower inner corner. I think that'll be too smoky. Although you can. That's just my personal choice. So follow through with that step if you feel right about it. Now with Nubia, okay, right smack in the center. You see what I mean? This is the special event eye, okay? Special event eye, here we come. Stop it right now. And using the shader, of course, just to refine the edges. And I don't mind Nubia traveling beyond the crease point. I do want this to deliver almost like the boats with the hot air balloon technology going on, floating off the water. I want those twinkle particles to just gently take flight from my lid and scatter around my crease. as such. And on the lower inner corner, a fantastic opportunity to introduce Oro again, because why not? I think Oro is just, because Oro is the golden. It is giving golden and we love it. You could also, instead of using log, you could have used Varis where log is. Tap it on the outer lid, inner lid, a little bit here on the lower lash line. It will look smoky, but not as much as what's giving now, right? And I'm just suggesting that because if you like this was going on, but not as intense, but still wanted to use Nubia in this way, go with Varis instead. Use that to smoke it out because the texture is so smooth. It's not gritty at all. It will create a similar soft gradient effect as a matte does, but it's still metallic, you know. Kava for sure on the inner corner. We got to right here, pulling it through. Now, what I was thinking originally when I stopped myself from taking on a certain step on this side, I had wanted to take either Oro or Alchemist through the inner arc. I do enjoy those inner arc moments. Hold on, stay right there. This is where the Esom pencil is gonna come into play, okay? Let me grab, I believe it's the Citrine Duo. I would like to use the pencil. Don't fall. I caught it in between my legs. We'll use the Citrine side to create that arc first. So oh gosh. Don't you hate it when you jam your nail into one of the pans? That just happened to me. I would like to use the pencil to sketch out my runway, if you will. It's tough to see because actually Citrine is similar to Aura, but I need a draft so I could see where I'm going. You see what okay, you see where I'm going with this? Excellent. Thank you so much for following along. Okay, what color should we use? Oro is going to give us life. 100%. It's going to appear distinctly yellow gold. So can Alchemist though. I'm going to use Oro. Now, just trying to follow what I just sketched. I'm going to just take it slow. All right, we're just going to take our time trying to make out the pathway I carved out and then placing Oro on top. If I do this, if I angle my eye in the right way, can you see that gold coming forward? I can also go in with Alchemist and tap on Alchemist to see if that's going to imbue more of a sparkle effect, right? Because I know we're trying to make a distinction here. I think that's pretty. I know it's hard to see. I have to do this. I have to give you the bedroom eyes so you can see the gold line. But this is something I enjoy doing, is introducing another color to the inner arc. I think it's fun. And yes, I do have the eyelid space for this. If you have the eyelid space for this too, just go ahead. If not, you can still do the under wing kind of a thing. I think that's still fun. Don't mind me, I'm just refining the edges of my halo eye on this side, taking a look if there's enough Nubia on the center. Yeah, I think we're done. Let's slap on the lashes, family, and I'll be right back. Final round for our Golden 6 look video. I hope this was helpful. Perhaps not necessarily using this palette specifically, but if you have a lot of golds or if you have all of Pat McGrath's palettes, a way that you can mix it up. Someone had said if you have Pat McGrath palettes, you can definitely replicate gold. You will just have to open a bunch of her motherships. And for me, that is just impractical, which is why I think even those who have NATASHA DENONA's old gold, they're buying golden because practically speaking, from a size standpoint, is easier to travel with and just easier to handle overall. Now, is that a reason to spend an extra $69 that you might not have? Not at all. But for myself, sure, I could create these looks using, just off the top of my head, I could use Taboo from Midnight Sun, then hop into even extreme Extreme Midnight, Extreme something from Midnight Sun, or even Dark or Deep from Sublime or Subversive, and tap on one of Pat's Astral shades on the center of my lid, or any of her numerous gold metallics, whether it's the metallic formula or her special triple number or astral something. Right, okay, you get the point. I'm not digging into all my motherships just to create this look. If you want to do that though, you most certainly can. You most certainly can. These looks, all of them, exist somewhere in my Pat McGrath collection. But what I enjoy about Natasha Denona is her formulas, her approach to colors. Yes, it's monochromatic. Sure, it might be redundant, and many of you feel is not a good enough excuse. Like, why go monochromatic? Get a little more variety in there. I think Natasha has a ton of variety in her collection. If you look through her entire portfolio, she has way less monochromatic than she has variety. I mean, think about Circo Loco, Trio Chrome, Pastel, Zendo. I know Zendo is no longer available. Metropolis, okay? You see what I'm saying? I like the monochromatic. I do, personally. You don't have to, personally. And I would wear all these looks every single day. I would wear them every single day happily. The tones of the mattes, the gold and the gold champagnes and the gold ivories. I love it. Again, you don't have to love it. I love it. If you have golden and you felt stumped, hopefully this video will help you out. It will provide some guidance for you to navigate golden successfully for your skin tone, for your eye shape, and all those other variables. If you'd like to see more looks, I will just maybe use golden in another video off the cuff, but I'm not entirely sure. You already have my 2 looks from the original first impressions, and now you have 6 looks from this video. You also have 2 looks from my golden short. So we're looking at 10 looks in all that I have created thus far with this palette. I think that's enough. You get the point. Let me know, family, if you've been playing with golden, if you have your eye on something else. I'll see you in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial. Natasha Denona palette video. Definitely a reworking of my top 5 midis from her coming up. Take care, and I will see you again soon.